Hey, welcome back to the Canonbullcast, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Saint George, and I'm here today with Mono, and we're going to be talking about My Hero Academia. For those of you who don't know, My Hero Academia is a very popular anime and manga out there. Um, main character is a hero who never had any powers. In a world where everyone has powers, then he gets powers, and he goes on this path to become the world's greatest hero. Um, so yeah, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna break down the first couple of arcs, uh, the first season or half of season two also, and this is basically at the beginning of a series where we're gonna sort of find out or discover where My Hero Academia lost its identity. Because right now, the manga is not sitting very pretty. A lot of decisions, story wise and character wise, are riling up the fans. It's not sitting well with them. So we're going to talk about that. Also, it's something that we just, you know, in the beginning part, we like that beginning part, how it started, the implications, and all those things. So yeah, we're gonna get right into it. Before I do, I just wanna, you know, ask Mono here, like, what are your thoughts on like My Hero Academia as a story? What was your initial impression of it?
Man, I don't even know anymore. It's such a blur because I don't know if you remember, that was like back in high school and there was a
Yes.
lot of
Yeah.
anime we were watching at the time. So to me, I'm not even sure specifically when it was, when I actually started, but I do recall like really getting into it, especially around season two. Like I was following it like week to week to week, trying to make sure that I keep up. um, but yeah, no, my initial impressions of the story, I've said it to you like quite often, George.
Quite often, yeah.
The first like six chapters, they live in my head rent free. Like
Rent free.
I love those first six chapters. They say so much with so little like at their disposal. It's just insane. And then having watched that be animated, that was even more crazy. And
So you,
I don't
so you
know, man.
started reading it first, like you were in the manga first.
Yes. Okay. So back in the day, right, there was this website known as Kiss Anime.
Let's go.
Um, and I recall I was watching legally one of these anime that had come out, one of these seasonal anime, right? And there was
Yeah.
somebody in the comments who was saying that if you think this is hype, go and read this manga called Boku no Hero Academia. That is going to be hype. And when it gets animated, you're going to want to see it. And I was like, okay,
Mhm.
let me check this out. Let me go and see what this was. And I went to go and check it out, and I was like, "Yo, this looks cool. This looks interesting." And then I didn't keep up with it, and then it came out as an anime, and I was like, "Oh, wait, let me go and check this out again." But the initial impressions was really, really good. Like to me, like it just struck it straight out of the park, bro. Like
Damn.
it was magical, like that
Perfect.
intro. Like I don't know, I don't know if it's because like Deku makes the promise basically in the first couple of chapters, the first episode
Man,
of,
that
oh
promise had
yeah,
me going,
uh,
bro.
by the way,
Damn.
this is a story of how I become the world's greatest hero. And I'm like, oh wait, him for real? Are you just gonna tell me that? You're not gonna let me
That.
watch the
Oh.
journey? You're just gonna out the gate? Damn, okay. So yeah, like that was first impressions at the very least. What about you? Like any recollection
So,
there?
so before I get into it, just want to tell you guys, please leave a like and subscribe if you find yourself enjoying the video. We do content like this all the time. We have videos on the channel on movies, on comic books, on anime, manga, all things in the pop culture sphere. We talk about it here at Cannonball. You can give your thoughts in the comment section down below. This is like a chat room. We want your opinions. We can engage and we can just, talk about it. It's our podcast. It's your podcast. But getting to my thoughts, I'm a huge superhero fan, right? I love superheroes. I love comic books. Like y'all know, like out of the whole group, like I read comic books like the most because I'm always like just
Yeah.
reading something, and I like manga and I like anime. So the idea that Horikoshi had of making a manga in like basically in the sense of comic book superheroes, it was like what? what? Like, he's really, it's like a mixture of both worlds. So I got into it, the anime, right? I heard you guys
Hmm.
talking about a lot in high school. Like, you guys were like, oh, Boku no Hero Academia, like, it's so cool. Like, the main character is so short, but he's got super strength, and he's so strong
Hmm.
that like his body will get injured if he uses too much power. And I was like, that sounds like this feels very anime. Like, I'll check this out later. Then my friend
Very anime.
Terrence started talking about. Shout out Terrence if you're watching this video. He was like talking about it, like, oh, My Academia, My Academia, and I was like, you know what? Okay, let me get season one. I got season one, and I watched it, and bro, like, it's just like the way they just implying things and talking about things. The story of this kid who he just wants to be a hero. He doesn't have a quirk, right? And yet he's such a heroic person. And then All Might just tells him, like, I think it was in the first or second episode, where All Might tells him, "Young man, you too can become a hero." Bro, I cried with Deku. I was like, damn,
Hmm.
like, yo,
Yeah,
you telling me
yeah.
that, bro? Like, damn, like it was just it's something magical about that beginning part of the story of him going beyond, him doing his best, working harder than others. um it just struck me. It's hard to explain, but it just hit different. It was something new. And the theme music, I'm a big music person. The theme music was awesome. And yeah, the animation was cool too. So I
Yeah,
started like
no.
watching it. I got into the manga only like later on, because I caught up and I was like, I
Dry
want
season.
to, yeah, dry season. I was like, I need to know more about this. And I started reading where season five is at, like where season five is, like that arc. I started reading from there onwards to like where it is at the latest chapter. And yeah, like it's just been a great experience, the beginning. It got funny over time, you know. Not
But,
funny,
but, but
haha. Funny, weird.
a wee bit strange, yeah, I must admit. Though, before we actually get into any of the synopsis breakdown, yeah, I actually also wanted to point out that one of the interesting things that really caught me about My Hero at the time when I read it is, I believe I wasn't even aware of One Punch Man at the time, but to me I
Yeah,
was
me
just
neither.
really fascinated by the concept of a world where superheroes were just an established thing. It wasn't just like a matter of like what you get typically in comic books of, oh, this person is a vigilante and so is a menace, like,
Right, right.
I was very fascinated by that idea where it's like a world that fully and wholly accepts superheroes as a part of its society and culture, and a world where basically everyone has powers. Like that's one of the first stings that I guess you get of the story, where you find
Yeah,
out that
it's like how
Midoriya
we
has no
have
powers.
like a certain thing as humans that defines us. They have a quirk.
Yeah, and I mean that intro really it gets you to feel for the kid, when you
Yeah,
find out that he will never get a quirk. It's not just like he's a late bloomer or anything. It's just he won't ever get one. And just watching him sit in that room, especially in the anime,
where
where
he's
he's
pointing
watching
at
the
the screen
recording of,
crying.
yeah, and his mom is just telling him like, "Hey, bro, look, it's okay. You don't have to be a hero," or something to that effect. And he was just like, "Mom, I didn't want you to tell me that that day.
Yeah,
I wanted
yeah,
you to tell me I could be a hero." I felt so sad, bro. I felt like, you wouldn't want a kid to face that kind of crushing reality. And to
yeah.
watch that happen to Deku instantly made me feel like, man, I want this guy to succeed. I need him
Yeah,
to
man.
succeed.
Like, you want him to win.
Yeah.
And then when he
So,
tells you, yeah, this is the story, by the way, of how I become the world's greatest hero. And like the anime had this thing where this animation, I think it was in season two, not in season one, but in season two, because season two also was
mhm,
like really hyped. The sports festival was really cool. So they had
mhm.
in the first episode, it intros with Deku like narrating about, how he got the quirk, how he's a hero in training. And then you see an animation where like he's in this valley, right? And he's like beaten down. His suit is tattered and teared. And then all these like nomus start running towards him. They look like nomus. They're just like the shadowy figures. And then like he gets up and he smiles and he activates his quirk and then he just goes in for
uh,
the punch and attacks them. And bro, that just I don't know. There's something about seeing that of like a hero that just smiles through everything and just doesn't give up. It just hit different, bro. It hit
not even
different.
just that alone, right? To see Deku in a triumphant moment, Like again,
Yeah.
that's why I'm here. I want to see Deku succeed, you
You
know. So
know,
I want to see that Deku has a smile on his face. You know, he just appears on the scene. Maybe he's just a few seconds late. He appears on the scene, and everyone just, they're like, "Oh man, Deku's here," and he gives them that smile, and he's like, "You know what? Everything's taken care of now. I'm here." I want that
yeah,
moment, bro.
I really
I'm waiting
do.
for it. I'm waiting
I
for it.
I'm still, despite how the manga looks now, I'm also kind of still waiting for it, even though I was feeling deep down that like, the
He might
opportunity's
not.
kind of paused.
Yeah. It
But
seems he's on a very different track right now.
it is so different, and that's the whole point of this whole discussion series, like just trying to get to like how it got there, is it really that bad, etc. So without further ado, we get into like the first like pieces of plot. This is they refer to it as the UA beginning saga, which is like most of them, you getting into UA, the
Getting
school,
enrolled.
and yeah, you're getting enrolled. The people are showing off their quirks, the characters, and it starts with the entrance exam arc, and that's now where we meet, Izuku Midoriya, born without special powers in a world where 80% of the population has them, and he still dreams of being a hero deep down somewhere. He goes to school. You meet Katsuki Bakugo, his childhood
Yeah.
friend, whose quirk is explosion, which allows him to like he secretes what's it, nitrous glycerin
Yep.
from the
From his
palms of
sweat.
his hands, from his sweat, yeah, and then like he can blob stuff. So he's always been like a cocky kid because his quirk has always been cool, um, and so he's always bullied Deku. And as the series goes on, you learn more and more as to why. In this first like episodes or chapters, you just get the impression that like he just thinks Deku's a loser. He gave him the nickname Deku,
Deku.
as I think it means useless.
Useless. I think
Yeah.
that is useless, yes.
And then in the English dub, they're like, no, it's like defenseless Izuku joined together.
I mean,
So,
but perhaps, could be up to interpretation. That's the interesting thing about a lot of Eastern languages. When you translate it, it could have more than one meaning,
that's true. That is true.
which we get to then the meaning of Deku as he adopts it later in the story.
Yeah, and he makes it like he owns that shit. So, and there's this
It's
guy
the
in the first
no,
episode.
sorry,
His
go ahead.
quirk is like removing his eyes from his eye sockets. Like,
Oh
damn,
yeah, one
homie.
of one of his classmates.
Damn,
I'm actually
homie.
on that panel in the manga right now, and I'm just looking at it like, what's happening, man?
Damn, homie. Who you gonna save with that? Like, you gonna scare the villains to like just let the people go.
I mean,
So,
yeah, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but yeah, there is quite a few people who are heroes, at least heroes in training that we see that like have like quirks that are borderline. Like, what are you doing here? Like that one chick who can like compress her body or whatever.
bro,
If you remember, I was just
ah.
like, "What's this, man? Like, who you gonna save doing that?" Like, I'd
Trash.
run away from you if you were gonna save me. I'd be afraid.
I think one of the things that My Academia tries to do is like to show how you can have the most like half-assed quirk, but you can use that somehow and support the heroes to do their job.
Yeah, that is kind of that. It is interesting because personally, if I was in this world and my quirk was your elbows or sellotape, I'd give up, bro. I'd just I'd become an office worker or something. Maybe I could use my sellotape efficiently there in the office,
Shots
but
at Hunter Zero. Oh man, cellophane.
but I mean,
I like
yeah,
his suit.
yeah, no, definitely. I even like the way that he uses his sellotape despite it being sellotape. But I mean,
What's
like,
that
yeah.
sellotape brand that they always buy their essay? I forgot the name. It's like this blue cover.
Oh man, I'm also thinking of it. I know what you're talking about, bro. I know what you're talking about. I just can't. It has like that see-through plastic holder.
Yeah, comment down
Mm.
below if any of you know that brand, please. I need to know that brand. But
But yeah,
yeah, so we get introduced to Deku and how the world works. He's like everyday life is like a scene from the page of a comic book. Hero stopping a villain live, and that's how we meet Mount Lady. We meet Kamui Woods, and I think a few
Mount
others.
Lady
But those
just
are the
straight up steals the thunder. By the way.
yeah, she's all about that, was like stealing thunder.
Yeah.
And I like how like they drew her like normal, but as the story goes on, she gets like thicker and thicker. It's so weird. uh
We all know why.
we all know why. So
Anyone in the comments want to mount that lady?
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
I'm
Oh
sorry.
man,
I'll leave. I'll leave.
I was gonna say, yo, the door like is that way, man. Um, but yeah, so um, I think All Might like is buying a few groceries, and Deku sees him and introduces himself and talks to him a little bit, um, and asks him about like or is this before? I mean after.
No. At this point, isn't it? All Might has already bought the groceries, and he meets Slime Guy, Slime Man, and then the two of them. Because it doesn't All Might save Deku from Slime Dude.
Yeah, he saves him from Slimewood first. All Might, I believe, puts him in a bottle to
Yeah.
trap him.
Yeah.
And then All Might's about to leave with the way he flies, air quotes, he jumps really high, his strength just propels him in the air. And then Deku like holds on to his leg. And then All Might's like, kid, what are you doing, bro? And then they land on a building, they have a conversation, and he's like, yo, I don't have a quirk, man, like, but I really want to be a hero. Like, is it possible for me to be a hero, like even without a quirk? And All Might was like, yo man, I'm sorry to tell you this, but like a quirk is the basic part of being a hero. Without that, you can't do anything, man. I'm sorry if I'm crushing your dreams, but that's the reality. And to hear that
Just
from
one
his
thing to
hero,
cut in here. I just want to cut
yeah.
in here real quick. I really like this part as well in terms of like the setup because we get like this idea of what heroes are, and we see then All Might, who's the number one hero, the symbol of peace, and he
Yeah.
explains as much as well. But he's actually the first hero we actually see a flaw with, which is kind of interesting for you to know that the number one hero
Mm,
is like in the most dire of situations compared to everybody else. And he
mm,
just kind of reveals it to Deku. And I don't know if that was like intentional from Horikoshi as to like, for All Might to be like, you know what, I'm here, you know my secret already. I might as well just spill all the beans. Maybe just so he can get it off his chest. Maybe he was tired of like having to keep this a secret all the time because he just
yeah.
up and explains, oh yeah, by the way, my internal organs are all goofed up and I can't use my quirk for very long. That's my weakness. Like I don't know why you would just reveal that to someone.
Could it maybe roll into the fact that like he was looking for a successor at the time as well?
Oof, man, I don't want to bring up something that happens later with a certain character who is allegedly supposed to have been the one he was going to choose before he met Deku. But yeah,
Power.
let us assume, let us assume that yeah, maybe it's because he was looking for a successor and he knew that he could transfer the quirk, so it didn't really matter whom, even this kid who has no quirk.
Yeah, you know. Uh and it was just like hard like for Deku to hear that from his hero, you know.
Yeah.
It's so interesting how Rokosho like flattens this guy to a lower point just so like he can elevate him, start from the bottom, you know.
But it
Uh
also speaks to Deku's heroism, right? Because even despite getting like this crushing news, he's going to still go on to save someone's life later on. Like, even
yeah,
though his hero told him, you can't be a hero, he still went out and was a hero.
and it's something that the voice actor, the dub voice actor, he said about Deku, and I sort of like what he said. He was like, I think Deku has, above all else, he has the heart of a hero. Like it's
Yeah,
just it's an innate thing. With or without the quirk, he will always try to help somebody because he
despite
knows,
the dangers.
yeah, he knows that person needs someone, you know. And to go into that, All Might leaves, the sludge villain escapes from the bottle that is kept in, and Bakugo is he's leaving school, and like the sludge villain kidnaps Bakugo, and he's now a hostage. All Might's quirk is at its limit. He can only like buff up himself like twice or three times a day, um, and he's now at this limit, and he's struggling to fight the sludge villain. And then Izuku sees
I think he
Bakugo
even
getting
considers not like involving himself
it,
with it.
it's
Like,
that it gets that crazy that he considers, you know what, like there are so many heroes like everywhere. Like I don't have to. I'm at my limit, man. Do I risk my identity and my not so my identity, but like my secret, my health
yeah,
condition, and
like
Izuku,
essentially jeopardize my image as the symbol of peace.
which as we see later in the story, it creates a lot of ripple effects when he
Yes.
retires. Um, and so Izuku sees his friend like in danger, and This guy has no quirk, right? He's a scrawny kid with no quirk, and he runs to the sludge villain, and he's like trying to tear him apart, trying to get Kachan out, and like Kachan's looking at him like, bro, what are you doing, bro? Um, and All Might sees that and is like, wait, isn't that kid who doesn't have a quirk? If a kid that doesn't have a quirk is running to this kid's defense, me as a symbol of goddamn peace, I have no excuse to be sitting on the sidelines. And All Might buffs up and he delivers a Texas smash where he just like punches forward and he blows the sludge villain like right off um, Kachan. And then
Hmm.
they trap him again and he's arrested. Um, Izuku's asking Kachan if he's okay. And this situation, it hurt Katsuki's pride because it's like, bro, like, why did you have to come and save me? Like, I got this cool quirk and a quirkless dude, this loser came to my defense. Bro, just get out of
Yeah.
here, bro. Don't, and that's like, I think that was the first chink, in my opinion, in Katsuki's armor when it comes to Izuku. So,
I don't really know. I kind of feel like this. Would I be able to say like this is reasonable setup? As to
mm,
like say
mm,
that
mm.
like it could have been made into really anything, and what it turned out to be is perfectly valid. I don't have any issue with it, but I feel it was just um if you've watched a lot of anime, right, there is that scene. I could just use any
Oh,
character who's just
yeah, I see what you mean.
generally mean and I guess prideful. It's like, damn it, Kakarot, I didn't need you to help me back there. I had it all under control. Like you have this trope of
Even
the
in
character.
pop culture, Raphael, like if Leonardo helps him, he'll be like, I didn't need your help. And Leo will be
Exactly.
like, oh,
So
you're in danger.
I feel like it's a reasonable setup, and what it came out to be is perfectly fine. But I'm not really sure if this was necessarily a chink in the armor because, as far as we as the audience would understand at this point, Bakugo was just his bully like from our understanding, right? Like
Flash
they
Thompson.
knew each other in the past, but he's just Deku's bully.
Mm-mm-mm. Interesting that like they kind of similar to Spider-Man and Flash, like Peter and Flash. Like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
also both childhood friends, but they split apart at some point because Flash started to become popular, Peter stayed a nerd, and yeah, just that in My Hero Academia, I mean, there's no secret identities, everyone has powers, etc., etc.
Well, I
So
mean,
yeah.
technically, Deku kind of has a secret.
Yes, yes, he does. The quirk is not mine. The quirk is
Yeah,
not mine. um, so later on, All Might finds Deku. I don't know how. I forget how, but he finds Deku somewhere in those textbook anime neighborhoods,
bruh.
like the ones that they always walk around in after school. Like he's
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
and then All Might shows up and he's like, yo, kid, like, hey man, I saw what you did there. Like I saw what you did. Like you have a story that like most great heroes have in the beginning, and that's that their body moved without them thinking. You know, you got something, bro. And like, I'll tell you one thing: despite you not having a quirk, man, young man, you too can become a hero. And then like, Izuku has like this monologue over like this that piano violin song that they play in the anime, where like he's saying, these are the words I needed to hear from my mom when I was younger, and I'm hearing them now from my hero, and these are the words that propelled me into now my dream. Um,
Yeah,
and he's like, look, I'll tell you my secret. The quirk that I have is not even mine. It's a quirk called One for All that I can pass down to people, and it was passed down to me. I will give you my quirk, and you will become my successor. You are going to become the next symbol of peace. And Deku was like, sign me up, you know? So,
eat my hair, head ass.
yeah,
Um, but I actually wanted to just bring up something that I also felt was really interesting. That like All Might genuinely admires Deku for his feat. Like, again, jumping ahead a
young
bit in the
Midoriya.
story, we will later see how All Might essentially, would I say, just reprimands Deku for kind of doing exactly what he praises Deku for here, which
Yeah.
isn't a break in character. I think as his mentor, he is genuinely concerned about Deku's safety and all that. But it almost felt like as if it was forgotten that this was the very reason he looked to Deku, right? Because like he even gives him like
Mm,
this speech about like, bro, I was about to be a hypocrite, right? I wasn't going to live by my own words. But if you were not there, right? But you were the one who reminded me, right? Like that I need to be like this pro and all that stuff.
Yeah.
which I kind of just I feel a little bit sad about. That it's like it's never really a problem if the stories don't acknowledge stuff like this. But this is what got me into the story. So it does sometimes irk me when All Might's like,
They
oh
sort of
no,
change stuff
y-
like that.
yeah. It
No
says you
lie.
shouldn't just run into danger like that, and all that stuff. And it's like, bro, like that's the thing that you told him was what made him a hero. And
What's
I
made yes.
personally, sorry.
That's what made him a hero, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, like, and personally, I do understand, like, you shouldn't encourage someone to do like risky things, and that's obviously the point of what that scenes try and convey. But it just, feels a bit off.
Mm.
I feel like it would have been nicer if there was more of a hot and cold, or cold and hot in this instance, where he first reprimands Deku and then he tells him, but that's why I chose you. It's because you rush in and you help when people need it. To
Yeah.
tell him that it's a bad thing to get lost in that, but it's also good that he has the trait in himself to want to help people.
Mm. Mm. Which it now makes me want to jump a little bit ahead because now, Deku did that of going to help people because he wanted to genuinely help, right? But later on in the story, it becomes this thing of like he wants to be number one and he wants to. It's just it's like his objectives or like his goals kind of shift, and
And
it
it's
begins
fine
to
if a
like
character does that. It just feels weird when the story doesn't feel like it knows that it's doing that.
you know, it's like, yeah, let me just leave my friends behind and go and take care of All for One because I'm the only one who can. When it's like, you being the quirk enthusiast that you are from in the beginning with your book, wouldn't you want to team up and lead them? Like, I don't know. Uh,
Yeah.
Very strange. But as the this first season or first era of My Academia goes on, All Might takes him in. They begin training. There's this like beach full of like litter, all types, fridges, washing machines, tires,
Just
all
junk.
these things, just junk. Like, and All Might tells him your body like will not be able to handle my quirk with this like scryness you got going on. You have to beef up, bro. Like we gotta go to the gym. Now I'm saying. So you're gonna have to beef up, and you're gonna do that by lifting all the junk and removing it out of the beach. And Deko's like, I mean, okay, I'll do it, bro. I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think they dedicate a whole episode of him like just removing those stuff from the beach, jogging, with all my training physically. And by the end of that, Izuku goes from a scrawny kid from middle school to a first year high schooler who's got abs and everything going on, you know. And it's so funny how like he's short, but he's like on some Asta thing, you know. But Asta, I think, is shorter than Deku. I ain't gonna lie.
And Asta's
Um,
also wider.
he's wider also. Like Asta's like on some like bodybuilder shit, bro. Like damn. So yeah, after that, Izuku his body beefs up, and I think already before that he ate the hair, but
I,
he
I
doesn't.
I think it may have been that he ate their hair and then he was just told he's not supposed to use it
Yeah, don't use it now. Let's beef up
because you
first.
could explode.
Yeah. Oh no no no. He trained first, and then before the day before the entrance exam for UA High, or the morning before he had to go, like that morning when he was gonna go, All Might told him, "Yeah, eat
Eat
my
my
head."
hair.
And he's like, "What?" And then when he went to school, he was like, "Bro, I never had breakfast. The only thing I have in my stomach is All Might's hair." And I was like, "That's sad, bro." So he
It's kind
ingested
of
his
goofy.
he ingested his hair, and then like, yeah, I guess All for One started doing its thing there, making himself at home, buying himself furniture in his body. So, and then like we now get to know UA High School. It's the most prestigious hero course or hero high school, learning academy in Japan. Everybody wants to go there. Only the top, top go there. Some are recommended, like Shota was recommended. I don't know if it's because of his dad or his quirk, but it might be his father. He gets recommended.
Nepotism.
Totally, bro. I think Kachan also gets recommended.
Isn't it
Or
because he was the best performer at his school? There was most two slots that managed to get in Kachan and Deku, and Kachan is kind of upset. He's like, "Oh man, you're the other one," or something to that effect.
yes, 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 yes. Yeah,
I
that's the
think
one.
I think it's for some schools it's based off of your performance at school.
Mm. And we meet other characters like Uravati, Uraraka, Ochako, Deku's love interest. I'm gonna say it again to the Deku's love interest, the one he actually has feelings for, not his friend, the childhood friend, you know, the one he
I'm not gonna try
actually
and stir up
likes.
any bee's nests, right? But it's very obvious she was introduced as the love interest because of like when she first meets him, he has like this whole like I talked to a girl moment, right? It's very
Yeah.
obvious that she was going to be the love interest because I'm not going to knock on anime or stories in general, but most of the time we find that the female character that they focus on for a lot longer than any other female character oftentimes ends up being the love interest.
Mm, hmm.
I said often, it's not a rule.
Yeah, not
It
at all.
just
Like, cause
tends to
Sakura
happen.
is a female lead, but she ends up with Sasuke, so yeah. She was going to be with Naruto, but yeah, the writer changed that. Um, Uravati catches Deku before he falls. They talk for a while, and then yeah, they were also small back then. When I look back, they were so tiny, eh? Really coming from middle school. Um,
Yeah.
I think we meet Ida Ingenium.
Yep.
We also meet him. I think yeah, those are two people that you meet like that I remember that you meet in that episode or that chapter. You meet them, and
What
then they
about dude shouting man? What's his name?
present Mike. I like that
Yeah.
guy, man, because he has the potential to be so busted, but they don't use him.
I don't know. I just looked at him and immediately thought of Vulture when I first saw him. You know, I don't know.
No
It's
way.
because of my Vulture's shouting tech. You know, but like he just
Oh
made me think of
man.
Vulture immediately.
He's most
But I
always
do
the one
like
in
him.
the anime announcing the people's like stuff,
Yeah.
like name Izuku Midoriya, hero name Deku, quirk, superpower. Because like there's a loophole in the quirk registry system where All Might you don't know All Might's quirk, nobody knows what it is, and everyone just assumed what it would be. And with Deku, they just registered it as superpower. So it's like just this enhancement quirk nobody knows. But if you watch the anime, the screen, like the screensaver, will say quirk one for all. But the only people that know that is, you know, All
Uh,
Might, and people who know All Might has that quirk.
Which is kind of interesting, right? Because in the first couple of chapters and first couple of episodes, when All Might saves Deku and Kachan from the sludge monster guy, um, a lot of people are actually theorizing what his quirk is in a way. They're
Yeah,
not like very they're not very sure about it. There's a lot of them are just kind of or making observations, if I were to say, because
yeah,
if I recall, one of them even says like, "Oh, the wind pressure he used alone is what knocked away the monster," kind of implying that they don't know if it is super strength or if he's manipulating wind pressure itself,
yeah. Some say the wind, others say it might be. I think Deku mentioned some think it's some sort of invulnerability.
which obviously it isn't.
It is not because, which is something I always like. It's something I always look at when it comes to the one for all users like Deku and them. It's like y'all have mad strength, but your durability is ass, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's obviously it can't even be like that. Shouldn't even be a theory because there's like a lot of times where in this very episodes and chapters we see All Might coughing blood. Like in public, he's like after saving Deku and Gachan, he coughs up blood. Like I'm guessing nobody really took note of that, but he's wiping his mouth. Like it's you would be drawn to see that there's blood coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, it's ass
So,
durability, bro. And
but
to
yeah,
that, to your point, like as we go on now in where they are, they enter UA High and they have to do like this acceptance exam, this entrance exam, right? Where there are all
yes.
these giant robots, right? And each robot represents a point. The biggest robot has the biggest points, right? And everyone has gone in guns blazing, destroying robots, getting their points. And if you fail, like you don't go in. So you might have been chosen to come to UA, but if you fail this test, you're going home, bro. And you must apply somewhere else. So it's cutthroat. And Deku is like scrambling. He doesn't know how to activate the squirk. He doesn't know what's going on. And then
Can we
he
just get
sees,
into how Ida's kind of just a douchebag? He's he just like kind of like immediately assumes Deku's there for like nefarious purposes.
bro,
Like he kind of stops Deku. He's asking him like, "Hey, bro, like, why are you here? Are you here trying to like rig the
you
test or
there?
something?"
Why are you here? Like, bro. And he's doing that thing with his arm, like he's karate chopping, and he's like, yo, Ida, get that stick out of
Uh,
your ass, bro. Please.
I just
Like,
kind of like it because he just, I don't know why he's just here assuming the worst. Like, he goes to the scrawniest guy he can find and just immediately says, this guy must be planning something.
a lot of people like saying that Bakugo is Deku's best friend. I think Ida is his best friend.
He's very underappreciated.
Bruh.
Very underappreciated.
He's very underappreciated. Like, to everybody, Ida is a good friend. Like, I don't know. He's a cool guy, bro.
I mean, doesn't he just literally, like, Deku just says, "Hey, bro, can I steal your fighting style?" And Ida's like, "Bet."
Yeah, take it. Whatever, yeah. And I think Shoto's also like he becomes a good friend to Deku. Like he warms up to
Pretty supportive guy,
yes,
really.
With Bakugo, like he's still like telling him like, bro, stop following me around. We're not friends. And it's like, I mean, bro, we spend a lot of time together. I don't know. And like my family drama, so we're not gonna
Bruh.
be friends, bro. So
But
yeah,
yeah, so they reckon some robots, and Deku's like, "Oh man, I'm so small, I can't fight these
I can't
robots."
fight. And Gravity like gets in danger because that giant robot with the most points is about to attack her. It's about to like knock her out or something, crush her. And we see Deku's like, I gotta save this person energy awaken again. He moves, his body moves without him thinking. And he just like you see like the one for all, like I like the animation of one for all like coursing through his veins, like by his legs, and then like he
Yeah,
just shoots into the air without even thinking, right? And
yeah.
he just decks this robot in the face so hard, bro. Like, man,
Boom.
just it's all you
Ah,
hear is like this boom, right? And the robot is like it just falls apart, right? And All Might's watching from like where the teachers are, observing the kids, and he has this big smile on his face, like it's like that's what I'm talking about, boy. Show them that the most important thing, like more than winning, is being an actual hero. And I was like, this anime, take my soul, bro.
man.
Just take it, take it.
And that's why I really loved this intro as well. Because as you might know, George, I can be very nitpicky sometimes. I sometimes like my brain just looks at a detail and it just says, "Hey, remember that." Because as this test was starting in the story and they were beating up a bunch of robots, my first inkling was, "Hey, what does this got to do with being a superhero?"
Oof.
Like blowing up a robot, like, can you save someone's life though?
Bruh.
Right? Like
Yeah.
that was the first things that came to my mind. And then when they kind of came with this conclusion of, well, okay, you didn't kind of do the test the way that everyone air quotes was expecting, but you still made it in because you did the most important thing. You saved someone's life. That's what a hero does. I really
Mhm.
like that because my brain immediately thought, is this an error in the plot? Why would your first test be? I think what really triggered that in my mind initially was that what if you have a quirk that is really good at saving people but isn't good at like all around destruction? I look at people like Froppy, right? Where it's like
Mhm.
I'm a frog, like I'm not gonna blow up robots, but like I can save some people, like that's
Yeah.
easy, you
Yeah.
know. So I really like the fact that then the reveal was almost like you thought you smart, actually you're not. Sit down.
Yeah. Yeah. And the robot like I think had the most points, so they could just like racked up all those points, and he was in, and everyone like was just watching him like, damn, whoa. I like when Deku does a very huge strength feat, and everyone just watches like this kid is strong, like
I don't, because everyone else is just like, this kid is strong instead of this guy is insane. What the hell? Like
because
like
like there's a scene in the Shia Saikai arc, the overall arc, where he's fighting overall at full cowling 100%, and then even Toga's like, damn, Izuku's like really strong, and I'm like, yeah, he is though, he really is. I just like that they acknowledge that.
for me, I feel like they don't acknowledge it enough. Like I wouldn't even like. I'd be really concerned about talking to Deku, right? Because first of all,
This kid
anyone
is
else feel
strong.
like anyone else feel like this guy gives off mad school shooter vibes?
Yo.
Like imagine a kid with this amount of strength walking down your school, mumbling to himself, so if this person has this quirk and I can use this quirk like this, like I'd be like, damn, he's plotting, he's scheming, he's gonna kill us all.
He's
He
trying to
already
like
knows my
assess.
quirk.
Yeah, he's
He
assessing
knows
all
my
the
quirk's
quirks.
weaknesses.
Exactly. So you can just come in like just Detroit smash the school to Kingdom Come.
Exactly, and I can do nothing about that. What can I do? I can shoot lasers out my belly button, bro. I'm not him.
Oh yeah, man.
So it's
Uh
just, but yeah, no, it's not a problem with the story. It's just that sometimes I wonder to myself, like the example for Toga that you gave, where she's like, "Oh man, Dego's pretty strong," and like she will approach him later on in the story as if he's not that strong, and as if she didn't acknowledge he is this strong, and even like
yeah.
give him trouble in a fight, and it's like, what?
So I guess like what you a point of what you're saying is like people should be a little bit more concerned when it comes to dealing with Deku, especially in
Yes,
fights. Like
because
they
people
should be like,
acknowledge
yo,
how crazy All Might is just because of him having super strength. And we see that in the story, having super strength is not exactly common, right?
yeah, it's not.
So I feel like everyone should be extremely cautious when it comes to, like, even when we get to the festival, right? Like, why would anybody want to fight Deku? Like anybody. Like I wouldn't want to do that. He's fast and he can just turn me into mince. I wouldn't fight him.
Yeah. And
Not to
damn,
mention he
that's
has a
close to
reputation for not being able to control his quirk. So like even more so reason not to fight him.
because what if he just lets out the gigantic just it turns me to mints, bro. Like it just lets go.
Yeah. So it's just it's strange that other people, you know, because we take a story that deals with this a bit better, right? We go to the boys, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a similar premise. There's this one guy with super strength, and everyone else has some level of strength. Some people do also have super strength, but nobody's like him. And
Yes.
Deku's displaying similar feats, but in the boys, everyone is always on edge, not
With
just because,
Homelander. And I
yeah,
like
but
that so much because like, yo, I'm also at age. I'm like, this guy could whatever he does to you right now, your head could fly off. Your insides could it this guy's,
anything is possible, and like that's the point, right? Like it's not even just because Homelander is unstable, because at the beginning of the story not many people know he's unstable, but everyone is still like, does don't mess with him, right? He's
Mhm.
there's we can't stop him if he wanted to do anything at all, right? And Deku finds himself in a very similar position. Yeah, his durability might not be able to keep up with his quirk, but for all intents and purposes, right, there's a dude who can electrocute himself into, basically his brain is fried. So
Yeah.
in universe, it's not uncommon for people to have quirks that could backfire. The point is, though, that he is that strong. He can just completely obliterate the biggest robot that we know nobody was confident enough to fight. Because when that thing showed up, everybody legged it, bro. Everybody legged it.
Yeah.
Nobody stood
Yeah.
behind, right?
Everybody was like,
So
nah, no way, no way.
like obviously if you were afraid of this robot and there's this one kid who one shots it, you should be also like, you should attribute some of that to that kid now, because he effortlessly took care of that thing. So it's just, that's what I mean. It's not a problem necessarily, but it is something that does sometimes irk me, where I'm like, guys, Deku, he's really really powerful. Can you guys not be so impressed by, oh man, this girl, her hair vines is so impressive? It's like, guys, Deku could blow up this whole stadium. Calm down.
Literally. Like, and nobody sort of like brings up that like what he did with the robot later on.
Yeah, it's
Everyone's just
almost
like,
like forgotten.
yeah, he just did it, you know. And it's similar to this thing that you mentioned to me like I think a few days ago, Mono, where you were like, if I think My Academia like has a lot of good moments and it's carried by that, this could we like I don't know if we could classify this as one of those good moments, right?
You see,
Because it's
the,
like
the issue is I have too much bias, because if you were to ask me, I would say all the stuff I've seen up until right now, they were just peak on peak on peak on peak on peak.
you
I
see,
might have
like
some
that's
issues,
also
right?
I'm
But
like it's actually
like,
pretty good anyway, it's a good moment, but it,
yeah.
it sort of serves its purpose.
Like the thing is, there's so many good moments that have built up to this penultimate good moment where you finally see Deku do something
Use the
with the
quirk.
quirk.
Yeah. Uh-huh. That's the thing. That's how I'm like,
And it
it's a
matters to him. That's the most important thing, because I think after this, he's like crushed, but at the same time, he's like, but at least I managed to save that one girl.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Then there was a scene where he was falling down and he realized his leg was broken and his arm. is broken, and
I'm just surprised his body is still intact.
y-
That's just great.
and he's falling to the ground. He has no way to float. He can't fly. And then gravity slaps him in the face to activate her zero gravity, and then releases him safely onto the ground. And it's just like, how many more hints do you need to know that she's gonna be an important factor to him, like from this moment? Because she's always like saving his ass, so it's like she's always there for him. Like, come on, guys, what more do you need?
And I mean, like it was also a nice dynamic that I save you, now you save me. Like it's like, you know,
Yes.
there's no dates here. Like we've both done our part.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. So then
And then after that, we see him get healed by what's sister girl's name again?
recover the
The
go.
granny. Yeah. So for me, I like this introduction because it lets you know that when somebody gets hurt in the story, it is something serious because there's basically only one person who can really help you with grievous wounds. So like it's an issue that I feel other anime don't deal with very well. Looking at stuff like Naruto,
Mm-hmm.
where like basically anyone can, as long as you have the talent, you can train to become a medical nin. So like you can heal people, and they do display in the story. It isn't like folly to all your problems, right? If your heart gets ripped out, you're not surviving that. But the issue is, it feels to me as though like, why doesn't everyone just train to do that? Anyone who's capable, I mean, why don't they just have like a massive force of medical ninja who can just like run around the battlefield just randomly healing people all the time? It makes it feel like not every injury matters, whereas in My Hero, at least at the beginning, it felt like every single injury really mattered.
Yeah. Yeah.
If Deku had to sacrifice a finger to like win a fight, it's like, man, that's tough, bro. That's tough.
Yeah. And then yeah, it even gets to that point in the story where like they tell him you need to like really slow down on like always relying on her to recover you. Because at some point then they had to remove bones, broken bones from his hand before they healed it, and like he was getting scarring, so it progresses a bit worse.
Yeah, and at one point, I think they even explained about him overusing the ligaments in his arms. That,
Yes.
like he has like 2 or 3 breaks left in him. If it
Mm-hmm.
happens again, it's GG.
Yeah. So after this, like Katsuki gets upset, charges Deku, tells him like, "Oh, so you've been hiding a quirk all along? Like, you think I'm dumb, bro? You've been hiding this potential, And before he can attack him, like Eraserhead, Aizawa shows up, and he like captures him with these, you know, what's this?
These
That
quirk.
that that
Oh,
scarf thing he has.
oh, his bandage scarf things.
That's like made of like rubber, but it's not rubber, and it's cloth, but it's not cloth. It's very strange.
Fictional materials. Maybe it's not
Yeah.
fictional. I don't know. But I associate all kinds of materials in comic books with just fictional materials. So yeah.
What's your thoughts on Eraserhead as a character?
Ah, I think he's pretty cool. I feel like I don't know. When I first started like reading this or watching this, I kind of got very Kakashi vibes off of him.
Mm.
With the whole
Yeah,
like,
he's got that
I don't
position, you
really
know.
care kind of teacher. I've got like magic eye powers. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like, I don't really want to do this, but I'm gonna do this kind of energy. But I think as the story goes on, he really develops into something more interesting. Um, but I think it's pretty cool. I'm not sure how he manipulates. I think they did explain it, but I'm not sure how he manipulates his scarf the way that he does. Um, it's a bit strange to me. He has a
Yo,
lot of skill with that.
why didn't they take him to the raid when All Might fought All for One and he just looked at All for One from like a tower somewhere and the quirks were shut off?
Um, See, that's the issue with a lot of the quirks in the story, right? Um, I don't want to take this into a very long segment, right? But like someone like Ida, right, who's like the whole stick is like, I run fast, like gotta go fast, gotta go fast.
Mm,
Um, there's one point where he's fighting Todoroki, right, in the festival,
yeah,
and Todoroki wins for like a bullshit reason of, oh, I put ice inside your what, your muzzlers or something like
the
that.
mufflers, yeah.
Mufflers, my bad. Mufflers, and it's like, oh no, I lose now, basically. And then like he loses to Todoroki, and I'm like,
Mm,
what's the point of I can go fast if everyone can react to your movements? Like he was like, when did you put ice inside there? And it's like, oh, when you kicked me. And it's like, he kicked you at super speed, fam. How did you?
How
Okay,
did
so
you
you just
react?
have super speed then. I guess you just have super speed. And it's like, that's fine for characters to be able to do that. Anime does this all the time, where a character has like a strength feat or a speed feat that's just massively insane, right? I remember when I
Like
was a kid.
how, yeah,
Oh,
like how
go ahead, go ahead.
Bakugo can just handle the speed he charges at sometimes, like it's insane, you know?
Yeah, I was actually going to make a reference to like how in One Piece at one point Luffy just rips a ship in half basically. Um,
Damn.
I think it was on Usopp's island, that arc. It
Mm-mm.
was, and it was just weird to me because like everyone in the story was like, "What the if? How's this guy? Yo, dog, how are you doing that?" And I was also like, "How easy? He's made of rubber. He's not super
He's not
strong,
super
right?"
strong. He doesn't have haki yet, even.
Yeah, and later on in the story, they do kind of come to explain that, like, no, his training was insane, and just get used to characters here being superhuman. Because, like, you see Zoro just start lifting, like stuff that should weigh buildings as, like,
And
for training.
and cutting islands in half.
Yeah, so it's like you just get used to the idea of people being superhuman without having, like, any other powers. But I don't know if you can excuse it as much in My Hero, where the whole point is, oh, All Might has super strength. That's so crazy and so insane. Meanwhile, and then you see other characters just do super strength feats and speed feats that's just unreasonable. And it's like, oh, so super strength isn't actually that important, or super speed isn't that notable. So to cut things short, what I mean is that
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of quirks, they are not used sometimes to the best effect. Something like for um Eraserhead, I think we could just say that he was doing something else. I don't know, he had like a dinner date or something. Let's just give him a random excuse. He wasn't there, is the point, right? And we can't argue that he should be there because he wasn't. We can argue that, and if we wanted to, I'm very capable of doing so. It's just for the sake of argument, we say he was just otherwise engaged with something else. What
Mm.
I kind of have a problem with is when Bakugo got captured, he was like, oh, there's like 6 of them and they're all going to come after me, but none of them want to kill me, so I should be able to deal with this relatively easily. It's like, just blow them all up, bro. Like, why you think? Blow them all up, man. Like, they can't, none of them have a solution to being blown to smithereens. Just
Nope.
blow them up. And then he does do it. I think he does it to Shigaraki, right? And it just kind of grazes Shigaraki. He's like, oh no, my hand fell off my face, dad. And it's like, is that all? Bro, you almost blew up an entire stadium earlier on. Like, what is this all?
It it's such an annoying thing that goes on later on in the story. It really is. I have huge problems with it. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it just, like, I feel like sometimes when quirks just get heavily nerfed, the muscular fight, and it's like, okay,
Oh
I
my
guess
god.
I guess this is what we need for this fight to exist. But that's the problem when you make characters that strong and you make them face people who are orders of magnitude weaker than themselves, and you still need that tension to be there, right? Because again, if Eraserhead was there, I'm guessing we could make an argument that, like, I don't know, man. All for One maybe has like some sort of negation or resistance to that, because he must has
Yeah,
that
you
quirk,
see that
forced
I
quirk activation. Maybe he could, like, I don't know, man.
and that's weird because Tomura currently in the story has a copy of All for One's quirk, and and Aizawa is using erasure, not him, the copy kid, because you can't use it now because he lost an eye. But the copy kid, he copied the quirk and he's using it on Shigaraki, and Shigaraki can't use his quirks. So it's like he can then do the same thing to All for One. So it's like, why didn't you do that, man?
But George, did you ever think of plot?
You see, I never thought of that. That that is a good point. I'm thinking about this way
There's
too
your
much.
problem.
I'm thinking about this way too much. Why am I
No,
putting
you
my brain
thought
on?
about it to begin with. That was the
I
point.
thought about. Let me go like turn off my brain, like find that switch, and just enjoy the story for what it is. Cause I'm hating right now. I'm so
Hey
hating.
guys, I'm gonna give some foreshadowing. Quirk Awakening. Oh,
Oh my. Oh my. Hey there, this is St. George coming to you live from the editing setup. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. If you want to see more of our content, please feel free to browse through our channel and check out the rest of our videos. Feel free to comment in the comment sections. It's our podcast and it's your podcast. See you around.